Good morning.
Hey
Good
there.
morning, Dwayne. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. How are you?
Good morning.
I hope y'all aren't running as far behind as I am today.
Woo.
uh,
Well, seems like everything that I'm trying to do is either having an equipment failure or some other problem. So,
yeah, that's pretty much about where I am.
Hey, Tom,
Yes.
are you, since you're handling the connections and everything, are you going to incorporate our blackboard shells, or do I need to do that from my end?
Apparently, traditionally, the way I was told, you've handled your classes from your end, John handles his classes from his end, and I handle mine. But I think that my lady here can do it if you want me to get her to do it.
Tom, in the past, we tried that the first semester or two that we did this program, and it was a mess because there's so much overlap and no continuity in the way they're put in. So for the last several semesters, one location has done that. Now, and I think that's the way we need to do it, because that way at least there's some system about the way that they are put in. I noticed the 143 class has already been done.
Yeah, I got her to do mine yesterday.
Yeah,
My one, see, I don't have that up here. Let me show you what I got. Because I got a student taking that 143 class.
Oh, and he didn't get pulled in it? Because that should have showed up. He should have showed up this morning.
Well, he's my.
And it's showing you as the instructor on it, as one of them.
Can you see my screen?
Look at the top one right there, Dwayne.
Oh,
That's
okay.
It.
Yep, there it is.
There you go.
All right.
If you click on that, you'll see the entire roster for everybody that's in the class.
Okay.
If you look at the grade.
I got you. Yeah, we need to do that for HR and animal production.
Okay, well, I'll send her an email here. I'll send her an email in a little bit to get her to do it. Everything might not show up until tomorrow.
That's fine.
Now, before we get too far, we're going to drop that selling class. We don't have anybody in it.
Yes.
So, I dropped my student from it, John.
Yeah,
well, we've already got it killed here too.
Okay.
We've got it killed on our end.
Okay.
So just the HR and the HR and the animal production.
And I guess I need to do it for the the 205 as well.
Yeah, you need to include that. That's the
soil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Did you not get the email? No, 205 is fine. No. It's
205 is good.
Yeah, it's the 141 or whatever with the. Yeah, the energy. Yeah, 244. That one got canceled. Yes.
Yeah, that energy got canceled.
Yeah, energy got canceled and selling got canceled. So.
So, Mr. Ayers, do we have a lecture with 205, or what's the game plan on that?
Keith was asking, John, he was asking for 205. Is it going to be lectures and recordings for that class?
No, it'll be totally online.
Totally online. All the exercises, all the notes, everything's going to be in Blackboard. There is no seated section of the class. That's what we were just talking about. We've got to pull everything together, and just with the snow and stuff, just like Patrick Henry was even closed yesterday. So.
Were you closed yesterday, Tom?
Oh, hang on one second. Go ahead, Dwayne.
I just asked if you were closed yesterday.
No, we were open, but I didn't make it in. We didn't have ag classes. I didn't end up coming in because I didn't end up having any classes yesterday. So, but yeah, we were here, and we've got pretty much nothing but green now.
Yeah, that's all we
brown.
got.
Or let me rephrase that: nothing but brown now.
Well, some of our fescue's green.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah. So if I can ask, is there anybody there in Keysville at the moment?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. And good morning. Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's
So
see.
you just gotta hold it when we talk.
Oh, what was that?
Never mind.
Okay, no problem. I'm good. I'm good at not minding. Just ask my wife.
Nina taking this at South Boston?
This is 144, right?
Right.
No, not at the moment. No.
Okay.
So I just have 2 people in Keysville, and then, well,
Keith.
1, sometimes 2 here in Alberta, and then some online people.
Okay. John, you have students there this semester?
This the 143 or 144?
144.
There's nobody here for that. I've got 2 that are going to be in the 143.
Okay, so you don't have anybody in HR.
No. What's happening, Dwayne? Here we've got a human resource class that's being done in the business curriculum, and since we've changed the format with this being a business degree and then a specialization in ag, they're picking up the business HR instead of the ag HR.
Well, that's
So
okay.
I don't envision there being many people in the ag HR.
All right.
Because the way it's done, they can only get 15 hours in the ag classes, and they're choosing other classes instead of the HR, and they need extra hours in the business. So, that's part of the reason for it. Covers a lot of the same content. It's just not ag specific in the business one.
Well, I understand. I understand how that is. And you said you had a couple students in animal production?
No.
You don't have that either?
No.
Okay. All right, but Tom, you do, right?
I'm sorry, I was talking to Keith. I do what?
You have students in the animal production class?
Yes.
Okay, good. Now, Evan Willis is going to take your class again, Tom.
Okay.
But due to his schedule, he's going to be out the first 4 weeks.
Oh, yeah, yes.
This
You were
semester.
telling me that. Okay.
So, but he should be back in after that. So,
Oh, and for the record, we're big fans of whatever's working with your microphone here.
all right, I'm glad it's working a lot better now. They've
Good.
done some work on it, and they said they're going to try to do more work on it in the future. So we'll see how long it holds up.
Yeah, the other is just.
I hope everybody had a good Christmas break. Keith, I see you're back. I hope everything went well with your surgery.
He doesn't have a mic near him. He's heading toward one.
That's fine.
Well, my operation was a success, but I had to go back in 2 weeks ago, and they had to do the second part, which was removing the drain ports. So I'm still walking around or hobbling around in a boot, and I'm supposed to get that off when I go back in February. So and it
All
sounds
right.
like you have a cold or something.
Yeah, I've been battling a sinus infection.
Wow. Need some of that
Uh,
Mountain Dew.
What's that?
I said you need some of that Mountain Dew to cure that.
I think I would probably clean out my sinuses. Okay, you guys at Keysville, everything, y'all have a good break?
Yes, sir, we did. It's pretty good.
Yeah, mine was okay.
Okay. Are there any new faces there that I haven't met before?
Yes, sir. This is my first time in here on this classroom. I've had some online classes with you, but this is the first time in class.
Okay, and what, if you don't mind, what is your name?
Aaron Austin.
Okay, I remember seeing your names. Good to put a face to
Yes,
the name.
sir.
So I hope y'all are ready to start the new semester and excited about it. We've already had some weather issues. I suspect it's not going to be the last. Typically, you know, since we've got 3 colleges involved, John always tells me I live at the North Pole. Usually it's my end that gets all the snow, or most of the snow. And so if we're on late schedule at our college, that kind of screws up all everything going on. Or if we're closed and y'all not. So typically in the past, you know, if we're on inclement weather schedule or we're closed, we just don't have class that day, and we just barrel down and try to get over it for the remaining classes that we do have. And we have been out for a week or 2 at a time, just so you guys know. Yes. But we'll work around it, and I try to let Tom and John know as soon as I know something. I usually text them so they can get in touch with you guys, because sometimes my internet at the house works, sometimes it don't, for me to send out emails. And I don't know how often y'all look at your emails anyway. Now this class, you know, we've got 3 colleges. I rely heavily on Blackboard, so hopefully everybody has access to a computer, either at home or at school. And this class that we have this semester, this 144, it's
hopefully going to happen today.
It's human resource management in agriculture. Now, I've got the syllabus on Blackboard for you guys. It'll be like, you know, I'll try to have everything up there for you. And, you know, Tom said he's going to try to will get the Blackboard Shells Incorporated. So you should have access to this tonight or tomorrow. Okay. You know, my lecture PowerPoints and grading scales and everything will be on Blackboard, and the grading rubrics for your assignments. Guys, the best way to get hold of me is right there, my mobile number. I'm part-time. I teach in the mornings. I'll be done by 10:30. Once I'm done, unless I've got, you know, stuff I got to grade and stuff, I'm usually going back to my farm. I train horses. And so, you know, that's the best way to get hold of me. Don't be afraid to call me. Just don't call after 10 at night. It's the only thing I ask. Usually I'm in bed. But if you have any questions, please call me. I'll help you out any way I can. When you submit your assignments to me, I do have to have that sent to me from your Virginia Community College email address. Our college has some pretty tight filters on email, and so if it's coming from your Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo or whatever other account you may have, it usually goes to spam or junk. It gets filtered out, and I don't even get it. So make sure you use that your VCCS email address to submit your assignments to me. Now, what I want to cover, or my goals for this class, is by the end of the class or end of the semester, you should be able to do some, write a job description if you're looking to hire somebody for your job. Say you're looking for somebody to work on your farm or greenhouse or whatever. That you can write a job description. You can write a job announcement. You can take, be able to write an ad for a newspaper or periodical to say that you have a job opening. I want you to be able to have an interview plan and a selection plan for potential employees. One thing in ag that I've noticed throughout the years is, if a farmer needs somebody and somebody shows up at the door looking for a job, farmer hires them. And that may, every once in a while, that may work out pretty good. A lot of times it doesn't. When you advertise for a position, you're going to, you may have several people apply for it. So we need to have a strategy in place to select the individual we feel is going to best fill our needs as employers. I want you to understand compensation. If you're going to pay somebody $10 an hour to work on your farm, what's it actually going to cost you? Is it just going to cost you $10 an hour, or is it going to cost you more? What's your guesses? There's only 3 of you. You're going to have to speak up. Somebody. As an employer, it's going to cost you more.
In my past experience,
Go ahead.
In my past experience, basically the salary is about half the cost of what it takes to hire somebody.
And you're basically right. It's going to be, that's only the $10 is only half of your expenses. And so we'll talk about that on how to figure out what it's going to cost you to hire somebody. And then one of the tools that we have as managers and bosses are performance reviews. And so we'll talk about those and some different theories or different methods of conducting performance reviews. And I have on here effectively manage employees. Guys, you're not going to be able to effectively manage employees after taking this class. That comes with experience, okay? You'll have the tools, or you'll have some tools and theories to base your decisions on how I should handle situations and why. But in real life, it comes from experience and learning how to deal with people and reading people. And you're always learning something all the time. There's not really a manual for every type of situation and every type of personality. There is. And, it's called human relations or human resources management class in agribusiness. I think a lot of times the human part gets taken out because we're so worried about legalities and being sued. We've always got to keep that human factor in there, and that comes with experience. We will have 3 exams in this class. We'll have 2 midterms, and then we'll have a final exam, and the final exam will be comprehensive. And then we'll have a series of assignments. And if you look here, your exams are worth 200 points. Your assignments are worth 300 points. And then you'll have about 50 points in quizzes. So, you're looking at 550 points that your grade will be based on how many points you win and out of the 550 points. So, these assignments that you're going to do this semester is a big part of this grade. And I expect them to be submitted in a timely fashion. Now, your book, I'm not making you buy a book. Let me find it here. You can download it off this link, and it's free. Just download it, and I do, the different chapters I cover. I do expect you to download it and read and come prepared for class to discuss what we're going to talk about. So it's a pretty good book. I think this Billy Cox guy, I don't know how you say his name, he really keeps the human factor involved in this. There's different ways of approaching HR. We can look at it through legal lens with all the laws and stuff, or we can look at it through the human view of it. I choose to go through the human view because laws change constantly, and everything's, laws change, and what we teach today could be outdated next year or in 2 months if we look at just the law deal. So I've chosen to look at it as a human through, trying to manage people and using human relations type deal. Looking at it through those type of lenses, instead of the legality end of it. So please download that book and keep up with reading those chapters. They're not real long. They've got some pretty good examples and real life stories in there to drive the points home. Now, as we go on down on the syllabus, the first assignment is supposed to be due next week on the 3rd. We'll back that up a little bit because, this is basically our first day of class because we missed Tuesday. And you don't have access to Blackboard and all the materials yet. Hopefully that'll be taken care of tonight. You'll have it tomorrow. But we'll move that back to January the 26th for that first assignment for the job description. But keep up with your syllabus. Look at it on when these assignments are due, and we'll just email them in to me, and I'll grade them and put your grade up there, and I will send them back or let you know what you can look on your grade board there and see what you got. And if you're not happy with that grade, you can send it back. A lot of times on this first assignment, I will send that. I tend to send that back to people and get them to redo it and tell them where they lost points. Make sure you get these things into me in a timely fashion. Any questions?
I have a question, but it's not related to the syllabus, but more or less to the course. I think it's applicable what I'm hearing from you, because I just had a meeting with Tuesday of this week with the grant reviewer for my bee business. And one of the things I have to do is come up with a job description because I'm qualifying under hiring somebody, so I get more points and probably get funded for that. But in my review, one of the things I learned, and I hope I'm repeating this correctly, that agriculture workers are exempted from the minimum wage laws, and you basically the prevailing wage, so it's less than $7.25 an hour, and they're exempt from the 40-hour work week law as far as overtime. Is that true, or what is the prevailing wage for agriculture workers?
That is correct.
Thank you.
I will tell you this, good luck on trying to hire somebody less than minimum wage. Agriculture, when we start talking about laws and stuff, there's some special things about agriculture that other businesses don't have to abide by, like minimum wage, and especially that 40-hour week without having to pay overtime. So as employers in agriculture, we're kind of fortunate from that end of it.
Well, the second part of my question, and here again, the agriculture specialist that was talking to me and stuff, and I made a comment. I said, I guess that's why you see a lot of Mexicans working in the area. And she said, oh no, they have to be paid a minimum of $9.50 an hour, which is $2 more than Americans have to be paid. Is that true? This is all new to me.
John, is that true? They have to be paid higher than Americans? Are you still in here? I guess John left. He works more with that than I do. There are special rules for the H-2A workers, the legal documented immigrant workers that come in. And we'll talk more about that later in the semester. I do not know if that's right or not.
I don't know either.
If she's an ag specialist, labor specialist, I'm not going to go against her knowledge on that one.
Well, she said it falls in a different department that she doesn't work with, but she could refer me to, and I just didn't know.
I wouldn't doubt it. If you're getting migrant workers in, typically you're going to have to provide them housing. And there's a set of laws you have to abide by.
Okay.
And so, that very well could be the case. I'm not going to dispute that one bit.
Okay, well, thanks.
Any other questions? Now, regarding, and those were good questions, Keith, thanks. And I do, please ask questions and get involved. We're a small group here, pretty informal, and I want you guys to learn, so please speak up. And if I don't know the answer to something, I'll try to find it. And I'll see what I can find regarding that, the migrant workers having to be paid more. But
thanks.
Yeah. I'm not, from my past experience or teaching on that, I'm not aware of that, but it very well could be. But anyway, I'll see what I can find out. Now, I told you have a series of assignments that you've got to submit throughout the semester. What we're going to do, guys, we're going to go through a fake hiring process, okay? So all of you will need to come up with a business related to agriculture, and you're going to hire somebody, all right? Now, this can be, in Keith's deal, if he's going to, he's trying to get a grant or whatever, and he's having to write a job description, he can just do it for his beekeeping business, and just say he's going to hire somebody to help him take care of his bees. And he can use these series of assignments for his deal. You have a farm, and you can pretend you're going to hire somebody and use your farm as a business or your greenhouse or whatever it may be that you currently have or hope to have. But I want you to pick out, the type of job you're going to hire for, and then we're going to use this throughout the whole, you're going to use that same position throughout the whole series of these assignments. Everybody understand what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right, any questions?
So we're pretty much going to be making up our own business, you say?
Yes. And I don't care what it is as long as it's related to agriculture.
Okay.
It could be a milker, it could be a bee farm, it could be a greenhouse, it could be a pet grooming business, it could be one of these, fruits and vegetables, whatever it may be. I've had a wide range of people, of deals. It doesn't matter. As long as it relates to agriculture, I'm cool with it. Okay?
Okay.
But whatever position you're hiring for, don't swap me in mid-semester. I want it to be, if you're hiring, let's just take Keith, for example. If he's got to write a job description to hire a bee, somebody to help him take care of his bees, it needs to be that same position throughout all of these. When he goes for the job description, for the job announcement, for the interview questions, the whole 9 yards. Does that make sense? Now, so you don't think I'm trying to throw you guys out to the wolves. I have come up with a grading rubric for each and every one of these, every one but one, and that's the performance reviews. But don't worry about that at this time frame. But I've come up with a grading rubric, okay, of things I'm going to look for and where you can win points or lose points. All right? So this first assignment that's due, the job description, what I'm going to be looking at is I want you to have a position title, whether, so you're going to have to come up with the title for that position. Who does that person report to? And I don't mean that as a name. I mean that as a position title. So, if it's a small, say it's a mom and pop, it's just a small bee farm, he reports to the owner. Okay, because, you may just be hiring one person to help you to, one farm laborer, so he just reports to the owner of that's his immediate boss. Includes division, department, or location within the business. Just make something up. What I want is each one of these things addressed. So if you're hiring a general farm laborer, on this part, say you're out there, your person is going out there to, mainly be responsible for cattle. You can put in there, would be in the cattle production department. Okay, even though they may be making hay and working on fence and everything else, just put it in the cattle production division of the farm. Does that make sense? And then give a brief summary of the position. This would be like just a couple sentences. General responsibility, this position includes, general care, feeding of the livestock, fixing fence and forage production or forage harvesting or whatever it is. So we need a brief summary of that position. I'm sorry, Keith, I'm just used to doing it with beef cattle instead of bees. So we get back to Keith's deal. I told him to do his. You want to do, just brief summary of the position, something about helping him, general bee care and maintenance or whatever it is. Now, the duties and responsibilities, adequately and thoroughly describe the job. It's worth 10 points. Guys, you got to get nitpicky. Okay, what's going to be the responsibilities and the duties of this person? You need to outline them. You need to tell what they are and think about it, because the last thing you want is some little smart aleck person that you've hired and you ask them to do something and they say, that's not my job description. And believe me, it happens. You don't want that to happen. You don't want that to deal with. So be as thorough as possible. And then, guys, put in there a statement of the, and any other duties or responsibilities that may be necessary. Leave you a clause in that, because you don't want some little snot-nosed, smart aleck employee telling you that's not my job description. Because I've seen it happen. And guys, let's face it, we're not above. We get hired to do a job, we need to do it. Sometimes we may have to be pushing the broom, cleaning up messes, when we're hired to take care of cattle, but we may have to be sweeping out the shop. That's just part of life. Get over it and go on. Do your job and go on. But have in there that little caveat for you, and any other job duties or that may seem necessary. Okay? Leave you a way out. Make sure when you write these you're using present tense and use action verbs. The requirements have to be job related. If you're required, and they can't be used to discriminate. So, like if you're in Keith's position here, if he's just hiring somebody to help him take care of the bees, is that going to require a college degree? Yes or no?
No.
No. All right. So if he puts on there as a requirement a college degree, that can be discrimination. Okay? In reality, you probably don't have to have any type of degree to take care of bees. You need to know how to write. You need to know how to read, but, I know a lot of people that have a high school education that raise bees. I know people college graduates that raise bees, and I know dropouts that raise bees. So, there's not going to be an education requirement just on having bees. So you can't have, a job requirement require more than what that job is that's a type of discrimination, and we'll talk more about that. But it
So
is.
would you put down something, high school diploma or equivalency or something, GED? Is that how you would put that down there?
I don't know the exact position you're going to hire for on that, Keith. Probably what I would do if it's just going to be like a general labor type position.
Technician type position.
Okay. And when you mean technician, what are they going to be having to do?
Assisting me and my wife.
All right. So they're going to probably be working when y'all are going to be working.
Right. Mm-hmm.
All right. I would probably just put on there, must be able to read and write and communicate effectively.
Oh, okay. I got you.
Because you could probably hire a high school kid that's wanting to learn beekeeping.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I didn't think about that.
A good friend of mine, his son, he may be a junior, he may be a senior this year in high school. He's got into beekeeping. And, he's a pretty smart kid, don't get me wrong, but he's a high school student. Got him, started off with a couple of hives of bees and expanded and has done a lot of research and studying up on bees and hanging out with these old guys that's done bees all their lives, and people are calling him for advice. And he's not even out of high school yet.
It's very addictive. I don't know if you ever worked with bees, but it's just something that
I have a little bit. I would love to get me a couple of hives of bees, but right now I just don't have the time for it.
It does take time. Yeah.
It does take time, and so I just don't have the time for it. My neighbor has bees, and I'll go and help him rob them. But I've done that, and I helped him get the honey extract the honey.
Right.
But that's about as far as I've done with it. I like to know, like I said, I like to get some, but I just haven't yet. Now, if driving's going to be required in that position, and more than likely it will, because how many times you going to send, if you're working on a farm or in an ag type situation, you're going to send the guy out or send, and I don't mean to be discriminatory, but guy, it could be girl. You're going to send the person out to run errands or go pick up something. So make sure you address this. If driving's required, state what they're going to drive. If the farm truck is a pickup truck and it's a standard, or whether it's an automatic, make sure you state that, because some people now can't drive standards. And request to drive and put on there the driving record will be required. As an employer, your insurance is going to cover that. And if they have a drunk driving charge, your insurance ain't going to cover them. So make sure you get a driving record. If there's any physical requirements, make sure you list those. If they're going to be standing for long periods of time, bending over a lot, working in all sorts of weather, lifting sacks of feed, square bales of hay, list those physical requirements. We talked about, the education, expand on that with that, make sure the education requirements do not include items that cause quality control issues.
One question for you. Speaking about education, I'm computerized, so I'm saying must be able to read, write, and communicate, then have computer skills. That's kind of like Am I kind
Well,
of limiting?
that's going to be depending on your job or depending on that position. You
Okay.
know, it may or may not require computer skills, Keith. That's going to
should
be
I-
up to you on what they're going to be doing.
Or would I best to say willing to learn computer or something like that, or learn, or
Maybe.
yeah.
I
Okay.
mean,
Okay.
you know, and I don't want to. I'm not trying to be a smart aleck, okay? It depends. You know, if you're hiring somebody and they're just going to be out there working when you're working, you know, say, 20 hours a week or 40 hours a week, if you've got a lot of hives, you know, what are they going to have to be doing on a computer?
Well, what they'll be doing is actually the weight and the volumes, and how much honey's being capped from the frames. Is a lot of record keeping I have to do.
Okay, then state that. And then basic computer skills, and if they're going to be using Excel mostly, then say it would be Excel or DBase or
Okay.
what's the database program, whatever it is.
Okay.
I know some jobs don't require computer skills. I didn't know if you're looking for somebody just to help you.
Well, this would be mainly
know.
just entry level type information. No really analysis or anything like that. Just input.
Okay. So so like right here, specific knowledge is required. Make sure it's listed. So if they need to know some type of database management or Excel or something, make sure you list that on
Okay,
that,
great.
with the computers.
Well, your class is very
So-
timely.
Good. So, I don't want you to use education to act as a discrimination, but make sure you list what they need to know. Okay? Or your education requirements pertain to what they need to know, or what they're going to be doing. They're going to be just out. Say I'm hiring somebody to help me shovel stalls and feed horses. 2 or 3 hours a day. I don't care whether they know how to use a computer or not. They better know how to run a wheelbarrow and a manure fork. So it depends. So I'm not, so if I was hiring somebody for that, I'm not going to list anything about computer skills.
Now, getting back up to the physical requirement, I was just thinking you probably need to be able to lift and carry 75 pounds. That's not discriminatory if I say something like that, is that?
No,
High as
because
what?
they're going to be lifting up those supers, right?
Right, exactly. And it's about 50 to 70 pounds easily.
Yeah, those things are heavy.
Right.
And I would probably put on there, must not be allergic to bees.
Yeah, well, that's.
I mean, let's face it, they're going to get stung. I don't care if you wear all the protective equipment.
I get stung every day I'm out there.
You got a lot of bees out there. Chances are you're going to get stung.
That brings up my next question. How do you work liability? Is that something that you take out liability insurance? Because I have.
Yes, sir.
I have liability insurance on my farm, but are workers grandfathered on that, or is that something I need to let my
You
insurance
need to
agent
talk
know?
to your insurance agent about that one.
Okay.
I mean, you should have a certain amount of liability with that, for your workers. But, you just need to double check with your insurance agent to make sure you're protected.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. You don't realize what's all involved. And the last
Yeah.
question, I don't know if I'm asking at the right time here, but I've been reading. Explain to me Virginia's at-will employment state. The way I read that, basically, you can just fire somebody for no reason at all, and they have no repercussion against you. Am I reading that correctly?
That is correct.
So
At will, you can fire them at your discretion.
So what recourse do they have? Say if they say it's not my job description, and I say, well, sorry, I don't need your services here. You're done. Can they come back and sue you? Or, I mean, I don't know what the...
Well, Virginia's at will. They're not supposed to. But, you know, we all know stories and have all heard stories about how they were wrongfully fired, or how people were wrongfully fired and sued the company and either got their job back or got a bunch of compensation. You know, I wish it was as cut and dry that says Virginia's an at-will state. You have an at-will policy, you know, that you don't have to have a reason to fire somebody, and that's it. But that's the way it's supposed to be, but in reality, it's not. I got a friend that got fired from his job, and he's suing them.
I guess mainly...
I've heard two different stories about why he got fired, and I think, you know, I've heard his version, and I've heard a coworker's version, and they're totally different, you know.
Yeah.
But if it's an at-will state, why is he suing, and why is the court system taking it that serious, allowing it to go on? They should say it's an at-will state. They can fire you. Get over it and go get another job.
Yes, that's the way I interpret it, but I guess...
The way we interpret it and the way, you know, society's become, it's a whole different ballgame now. So we need to protect ourselves, and we'll talk about that as well in the semester on how to protect yourself from that.
Right, okay.
This job description will go a long ways, you know, especially about like putting in that clause of, you know, any other duties that are necessary. But it's this job description is going to be the most important one you're going to write, because everything's going to come back to it. When you make your job announcement or write your job announcement, you're going to be coming back to your job description and, you know, getting a few key things from it to write an ad. When you go to do your interviews, you're going to pick some stuff out from your job description to make sure that they can do these things in the interviews. When you're going to make your selection criteria between 3 or 4 different people, you're going to go back to your job description and figure out which one you think is going to be most capable of doing these duties, along with, you know, which one do I think I can get along with the best, or has, you know, other deals you're looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
I'm going to be the hardest on grading with this one, guys. I'm not going to lie to you. So make sure you address each and every one of these things for your points. And if, say like in territory served or covered, make sure you put the county that you're in. You know, the job's located in, I don't know, what county you in, Keith? Mecklenburg?
Yes, Mecklenburg.
All right. Will be, you know, mainly in, you know, the jobs in Mecklenburg County, Virginia. And what, you know, if you've addressed this driving, they're driving somewhere, you definitely got to do this, because even driving to the co-op to get supplies is traveling, you know. So, you know, if driving's required, you know, say it's going to be local driving or driving locally to the farm supply store, or the livestock market, the vet's office, or whatever it is, tractor dealership. How frequently, maybe once a week, and approximately how many overnight stays. If you're not going to look at them staying overnight, be no overnight, no overnight stays uh, or whatever. Sometimes, like when I was managing a farm for Stewart Land and Cattle Company, I didn't travel very far, mainly local stuff. But every once in a while, when there were, beef meetings or something we would go to, we would stay overnight. So, I may stay overnight for a week once a year somewhere at conventions or something. So, keep that in the back of your mind. You may be going to, the local beekeepers meeting, or Virginia Tech may have a beekeeping symposium or something like that, and you may want to travel up there for the day, or a day, stay the night and the next day as well or something. So address that. Make sure you run spell check on it. Make sure it looks professional or it's attractive, it's just not cobbled up. It flows nice and you can find stuff. So, and that one totals up to 55 points. So, I'm going to be looking, you turn in your job description. First thing I look for is position title. It's worth a point. You have it, you get a point. You don't, be 0 points. And that's what I'll be looking for in each of these. So does that help you understand? And I've got them made up for all these others as well. So when you get your blackboard, you can look at it and stuff. Any questions?
I got a question. So, let's say, I work at Southern States. So, the reason I'm taking this class is because I want to become a manager. Could I use Southern States, like a farm supply store, as an example? Not specifically Southern States, but if I create my own.
Sir, you can. That's not a problem.
Okay.
So, if you're looking at hiring for, say, the position you have, that's fine.
Okay.
Pretend you're the manager. Or if you want to do a manager position, then do it for the manager position. And you're the next manager up in line.
Okay.
I have another question for you. How about the record keeping? Because I was reading the stuff here, because who you've been interviewing, what's their demographics, and I guess it's protecting you from discriminatory lawsuits and stuff.
Yes, sir. One thing, and this will be a test question, what's the best way to protect yourself? Document. Document everything. So, these, like your job description, you want to have that on file for that position. You want to have your whole, your whole selection criteria on file. Your interview questions, whatever. You want to keep, you want to keep that for a couple, 3 years. I can't remember the number of years, maybe 5. But keep that up, because that can protect you. I mean, it can come back and bite you in the butt if you did something illegal. But, at least it's showing good faith that you're trying to do everything legal. So document everything you do. Because that's, if you need to fire somebody, we'll talk about how to do that, and hopefully you don't get sued, but you got to keep everything documented. So yeah, record keeping's important, guys. Documentation.
That brings up Another question: is this something that I should have my lawyer look over everything before I send it to press?
You know, I don't know how to answer that one, Keith. Um, I know some of these big companies do that. You know, when you get hired, like when I was interviewed for this position, when I was interviewed for a county extension agent, they had an HR person in that interview room as well to make sure everything was on the up and up. So they very well, some of these big companies will do that. And try to make sure everything is legal. There's nothing discriminatory around. John was telling me he was involved with a hiring process there at Patrick Henry for some position, and he's going to be on the interview committee, and he had to submit his list of questions to the HR person to make sure they were all legal. I guess that depends. It's not going to hurt to get legal advice. A lot of farmers don't do it. It doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. They just hope for the best. And one of the things, that I've experienced, that I've, through my personal experiences, I've seen a lot of that hire somebody and hope for the best, and it doesn't work out very well. Because, they just hired whoever because they needed somebody right then and there. And I guess what I'm trying to say, when you're looking to hire somebody, go through a certain protocol. And because you don't want to hire the wrong person and have to fire them. Or you hire somebody, and I've seen this too, and there's some examples in the book about it, say like somebody has a hurt back or something, and they're interviewing for a job on, go get a job with a farmer, and first day of lifting the feed sack, oh, I hurt my back. And you go to the doctor, and he's out on workman's comp, and your workman's comp insurance goes up, and, it's costing you a lot of money. And he knew he had a hurt back. He just wanted a free ride. And had you said, hey, this job's depending on a medical evaluation, if you had that in there and sent them to the doctor to make sure they could do this position, it would have saved him a lot of time and trouble and money. And we'll talk about that as well. But, it's not going to hurt to talk to a lawyer. I mean, I would be more concerned about making sure my insurance is going to cover me. But, because you're a small operation, but it wouldn't hurt to talk to a lawyer. I mean, I would. I got a brother that's a lawyer. I would definitely ask him because, something quick and easy he'd do for me for free.
Well, what I'm thinking along those lines, I assume I'd have the person complete a employment application, and I wouldn't want to have anything on there that could be deemed discriminatory or not kosher or something like that. Because one, you'd hope to find out their work history, and then perhaps you could check with their previous employers if they showed up to work and they were good workers or whatever.
That's right. And and that's one of, a lot of times one thing that I want to get across to you guys as well is just don't rely on one thing when you hire somebody. You know, how many times, do they, most jobs you look at, or some jobs, and I know I've been through this. You submit a resume, you go through an interview process, and then yay or nay, you get a job. And, and they check references. So there's three selection tools they're using: a resume, an interview, and job references. Does everybody do those three? No, they don't. I've just been hired because I asked for a job. I've been hired because I asked for a job and gave them a resume and never was interviewed. And then I've had all three, and I've had a whole lot more. So, if you do it, the more selection tools that we use, the better we're going to find, the better we're going to increase our chances of finding that person that's going to fit right with us. So, we have resumes, we have job applications, we have interviews, and we have references. Those are the four most typical ones. But how about if we set up a practical test? Can they actually do what they say they can do?
That's a good idea.
What if we set up a written test? That's a selection tool. I've seen that. I've heard of it being done, but I haven't seen it. I've seen practical tests be done, but I haven't seen a written test be done about it. Medical screenings,
If
driving
I can jump
records.
in, if I can
Yeah.
make this, excuse me, if I can make the comment here, as far as the testing, like the writing test and that kind of stuff, you need to make sure that the ability to write is on a job description. Otherwise, you're testing for something that isn't part of their job, and that can be seen as discriminatory. So
That's correct.
I'm sure you were going to get to that at some point, but that just hit me. So.
Well, you bring
Yeah,
up another point. Another point that you're talking about, the hiring process and getting hired. In all my jobs, my working career, it was always contingent upon the background check, which included drug screen, driving record, and a criminal background. So how about somebody like me? How would I find out that this person had a mass murder has been escaped and he just needs some quick money in the job? How do I order a background check, or what do I do there?
I don't know how you do a background check, but you can put that in your deal that, this wouldn't be in the job description. It would be in, later on as you go, like when you extend an offer, we'll extend you the offer providing that you pass, or, on your job, when you advertise for the job, you may put on there, must present driving record, or, must be able to pass a background check and drug screening,
Which there are a couple of websites out there. I don't know the links, but there are websites out there that list that you can do a preliminary background check as far as like the sex offender websites, and there's a couple others as far as listing felons and stuff.
Well,
I don't know the search, but if you do a Google search for background check websites,
well,
it won't cover everything, but it'll give you.
my
some
biggest
ideas.
concern is a trust factor, and hoping this person gets to a point to work independently with minimal supervision, and basically we'll give them keys to the building, and there's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment there and stuff, and I want to come back one day and find an empty barn, or.
And that's a deal that farmers have to deal with constantly. And I've never been background checked working on a farm. And I know, and I know where the keys are for all the tractors.
Yes, we had somebody steal a tractor from our farm a year ago. I think you were in that class
Yeah,
when I was talking
yeah.
about it. Just a guy that had done a little part-time work for us
Yeah.
came and took our tractor one day.
And farmers don't typically do that. I have never had one done on me, and on all the different farms I've worked on. But that I can't emphasize the importance of this job description because just like what Tom said, if you're going to give them a written test, you better have on that job description they must be able to read and write. If they're going to have to get their private pesticide license, they're going to have to read and write because Virginia Department of Ag and Consumer Services is not going to give somebody a pesticide license if they can't read.
Right.
Because they've got to be able to read the labels because the label is the law.
Right.
Does that help any? Does that answer your question?
It's clear as mud.
I know.
No, it's something that's simple, but once you open the book up, it's very complex.
It is. It's not easy. And that's how come I'm going to try to approach this from a human aspect instead of the legal aspect. I mean, I want to give you the tools to protect yourself with documentation. And, as Tom just said, that job description is very important. And I'm trying to drive that home to you guys. Because you want to make sure you cover everything. The guy doesn't have, if the position doesn't require somebody to read and write, by gosh, I'd still put on there, must be able to read and write and follow directions. Because in the future, I don't know what I'm going to have them to do.
Would I be kind of pre-selecting my potential candidates if I put it on a website versus put it in a newspaper? So I assume that person that found it on the website would be computer savvy versus somebody reading the newspaper?
That's pretty smart, isn't it?
Okay.
If you're looking for somebody that knows computer skills, that's not a bad way to advertise. Some companies just advertise on their websites.
Right, okay.
Southern States advertises on their website.
Okay.
I don't see positions advertised, when they've tried to apply locally. I haven't seen it, position open in the paper.
Right.
But it's always on their website. At least the one here does.
Yeah. And then when I was in the USDA office last week, I noticed they have a job posting service there too.
Yeah. Now they'll be USDA. They advertise on the USA Jobs. The federal government.
Well, this is actually in the office that they had. People would put up notices there on, I guess, on a community bulletin board, that kind of stuff. So I guess they're pre-selecting.
Oh yeah.
Not for the USDA off jobs, but for people related to the farming.
Yeah, I mean you can advertise. It just depends on what where do you want to reach to, and what's your target audience.
Well, my ideal candidate in my mind would be like the person you described, would be a high school age person that needs some gas money, wanted to work maybe 10 to 20 hours a week, kind of in the evenings and then on weekends.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. How does one apply for a grant through the college to get the college to underwrite part of the person's salary? That we went out to, what was it, the pumpkin farm. There were students out there that the college, I think, paid up to $10 an hour? Paid half of it?
What he's asking about, I don't know if y'all have it, but Dixie got some kind of a grant thing to help with our agribusiness program, that we had a student as an intern that part of her salary was being paid by this grant, so the employer only had to pay half of her salary, and then the grant paid the other half. But in that case, I suggested to Keith that instead of a high school student, he looks to hire a SVCC agribusiness student. And then you can talk to Dixie to see the way that works around to get some extra love.
I'm gonna tell Dixie to double your salary. I learned a lot today.
All right, what was your question? Aaron had a question. Let me get back to him. We're about out of time this morning. What were you going to ask, Aaron?
I was just going to say that, like, if reference to him, Heath, on the beekeeping, posting the job on the internet. I was just going to say that if he does that, then he's going to be opening up doors to people, that might not be from around here, or you never know when you post it on the internet who might apply for it.
That's
pretty much
right.
what I'm saying. Not being discriminatory or nothing, but
right.
when you put it out there,
somebody from Hawaii could apply for it.
Yeah, that's right.
But if he has advertised on there that it's a part-time job, would somebody be willing to move across the country for a part-time job at minimum wage? So hopefully those people would eliminate themselves. But it does open up, if you're looking for a full-time position, somebody may be moving across country for a full-time position.
But I do think it's a good idea to post the jobs, maybe like he said, the USDA office or maybe the extension office, to put it up on the bulletin boards. Because people who are usually interested in that, that kind of position would be looking on those boards.
Yeah.
Locally.
That's a great idea.
They do. When you're in the, whenever you go to the co-op, if they have a community board there, always run over there and see what's posted. Whether it's dogs or bulls or horses or hay or whatever. And I'm on Facebook, and there's a Facebook group called Southwest Virginia Agricultural Farm Exchange, where you can post whatever you have to sell or buy, or needing help, or looking for a job. That's another type deal, if your local area has one of those or something. But you want to try to reach, how, and that's you got to figure out how you're going to market your job to that group of people you're looking for. If I'm looking at hiring a computer science or an IT person, I'm not going to go post it on Southern States, because what's my chances of that happening? Of finding somebody, an IT person. I mean, and I say that, I could find somebody. I know a guy that he works from home. He's a computer genius, and he works out of his house, and he farms. So I could come across somebody like him, But, what's those chances? I'm going to be targeting some type of computer type website, or, some type of, I'd be going after those type of people. Does that make sense?
I know we're almost out of time, but
yeah, I am. But go ahead.
I have one more question. For a part-time worker, do you have, as the employer, do you have to take out FICA, state and federal income tax, or is that something the worker has to?
Yes.
You'll be going in detail how to do that?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you need to do that. We want you to be legal.
Okay. So one question I have that I've been reading, what's the difference between a employee versus a contract worker? Because a contract worker, you don't have to do that.
Contract worker is basically it's like say you hire Joe to build you a barn, okay, or build you a shop, and as long as Joe gets that shop built, that's all you care, and according to your specs, that's what you care about, right?
Right.
He's a contract worker. You do not tell him what time he has to be at work. You do not provide his tools. He comes in with his tools when he comes and leaves when he leaves. All he's there to do is get the job done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that clears that up. Appreciate that.
If you're sitting there telling them they have to be here at 8 o'clock, that's going to change that to an employee type status.
Okay. Thank you.
When I worked at the unemployment deal, the unemployment office or the Virginia Employment Commission, these guys that come in and say, well, I won't apply for unemployment, but I was a contractor. And I said, well, who did you work for? And they worked for somebody. And that's, first questions we asked, did they tell you what time to be to work? Well, yeah. Did they supply your tools? Yeah. Well, you're an employee. So then we'd have to go after that employee to make them pay unemployment tax because they were trying to skirt that issue because all their employees were contractors. But that's the two questions they would ask you. So guys, we're out of time. Actually, we're a little bit over time.
Thank you.
Hopefully, y'all are, you kind of getting the basis of what we're going to be doing this semester. If you have any questions, call me, and I'll see you guys Tuesday.
Okay, sounds good.
Dwayne.
Yes, sir.
I saw that Evan is not enrolled in the 143 yet. Is it that he's not going to end up signing up until he gets back in a few weeks, or?
No, he told me he signed up. We had that.
I looked in PeopleSoft a few minutes ago, and it's showing 0 enrollment even. I just double-checked. He's not in Blackboard or anything. But,
all right, hold on a second.
But otherwise, I emailed my lady about merging all of those classes together, so hopefully she'll do it.
Let me text Evan. He needs to get enrolled. I thought he had it. He told me he had it taken care of.
All right. Which I told her to merge my people into your Blackboard section, so whatever you've done in Blackboard should be grooving. And so you don't have anybody in in John's 205 class?
No.
Okay. And then, ironically enough, he does not have anybody in either of your two classes. From
no,
what I
he
can
doesn't.
tell. So.
I'm kind of worried about this program after this semester. I ain't gonna lie to you.
Yeah. We've got okay numbers, but John had some people last semester. I don't know where they went, but we've had a couple of people that didn't come back this semester that I don't know where they are. But
and we've always been low on my end, and they knew that even when this grant was wrote. They said Southwest is going to have the lowest number of people, and that has seemed to held true.
Which I hate that, but
yeah, I do too. I think it's a good program.
Yes. Yes, it is. And I've just, I keep telling my students that it's like, I think every one of our agribusiness students, they either already, they have a job before they graduate. And a good chunk of them, they're working now. So, I tell my non-ag students, if you're looking for work, it's something to consider.
Yeah. My part of the country, though, it's not ag. We don't have as many employment opportunities as y'all have.
Yeah.
And I think that's what hurts me. And unfortunately, they don't look at the big picture. Everything around here is coal oriented, and
Yes.
you know, farmers are complaining, I can't find good help. I can't find good help, and they can't. I mean, as bad as I hate to say it, we've got 3 or 4 generations now being raised on welfare and disability. They just don't want to work anymore.
Yeah, we had all our
And
eggs
the people
in
that
the two
do want to
baskets
work,
of-
they can't find a job.
Yep. We had all our eggs in the 2 baskets of furniture and textiles. So we got a lot of the same thing.
Yeah, and you know, with y'all's country where y'all lay out there, it's a lot different than here. You know, about the only our big crop here was tobacco, and you know, it's basically gone now, and you know, there's a few people around that raise it, but you know, it's pretty mountainous down here where we live, and you know, when my wife worked in South Boston, I mean, you know, people had combines. They had some flat land that could, you know, a lot of cropland out there. We just don't have that here. I don't know if there's too many fields in this area. I don't know of any. Maybe 1 or 2 that could justify or they can't even justify a combine, but you know, that's big enough to be combined. Does that make sense?
Yes. Yes. No, I'm with you.
You know, it's cattle country. It's cattle and sheep and tobacco. It's not crops. I mean, you know, we raise a lot of hay and corn silage, but, you know, that's about it. There's some vegetables and some small fruits, but, you know, nothing.